We have a question from the audience to end the show today. You can write into the show as well. Go to patreon.com/Zach Schaumler. David wrote in. David said, "Hey, Zach, hope you're doing well. I am curious about your thoughts on the upcoming F1 season. Who do you think will win the Drivers' and Constructors' Championships? Personally, I think Charles Leclerc and Ferrari will win both championships. Keep up the great work, David." I don't know how to make a prediction for this year's F1 season because all I really have are a bunch of questions. We haven't had a single race yet. We've had testing and, the better teams have had fewer time doing certain tests. And so I want to tell you my questions going into the 2022 F1 season, and we'll see how those questions, I'm going to set up the narratives now, and in a month or two from now, we can go, here's how those narratives are working out so far. So question number one, is it a three-team race in Formula One? You got Ferrari, Mercedes, and Red Bull. Ferrari put a ton of development energy and money into this year. So I guess my big question really is Ferrari the team to beat? Should they be the favorite in Formula One? And then we got a new guy coming to Mercedes, George Russell, elevating himself from Williams, a really, really talented driver, getting a promotion. And I would assume that George Russell is an upgrade on former Mercedes driver Valtteri Bottas, who really was good enough to not have to challenge Lewis Hamilton, so they were able to win a Constructors' Championship again last year, but not good enough to give Lewis Hamilton often the support he needed. And so not only can George Russell give Lewis Hamilton the support he needs to help push people at the front of the race, but also how much can George Russell challenge Lewis Hamilton this upcoming year for the Silver Arrows? I'm excited to find that out. Will Red Bull still be a contender? Because while Ferrari was looking ahead to this year, Red Bull put all of their time and energy and development into last year. So Ferrari's been looking ahead, waiting for this moment. Red Bull put everything they had in the last year. So I wonder, how good is Red Bull going to be this year? Their driver, in a very controversial way, Max Verstappen, won the Drivers' Championship. They got second to Mercedes in the Constructors' Championship. Is Red Bull even still a contender this year? We'll find that out. Is McLaren the fourth best team? Is McLaren the best of the rest? How about Alpine? Is Alpine going to take a step forward in year two with Fernando Alonso at the helm? And I look, people don't like Fernando Alonso. I don't really understand that. Fernando Alonso is incredibly talented. He is a tough driver. He's hard to pass. He is kind of, how do I put this in a nice way? He's kind of a dick to drive against. He is going to block you and will not allow you to pass him. He's a tough cookie, man. I really like Fernando Alonso and his style. He's kind of a bully on the track. And then are we going to get maybe a rivalry between Alpine and Aston Martin? Because Aston Martin's going into year two with Sebastian Vettel. These are both former world champions, Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel. And can we get a rivalry maybe between Alpine and Aston Martin? How about Fernando Alonso versus Seb? That would be really fun and exciting to have. I really hope they have similar pace so that they can be regularly competing for a points finish between Seb and Fernando Alonso. And those two really talented drivers, I think I would love to see Seb and Fernando Alonso driving a Mercedes, because I think they are way more talented than their car will allow them to show. And I want them to be level and even because I want to see the battle between Fernando Alonso and Sebastian Vettel, just head-to-head, really tight, really tough. I hope they have similar pace this year in 2022. Who has the best driver lineup? Is it Mercedes with George Russell and Lewis Hamilton? Maybe Ferrari with Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc. Probably should have said Charles Leclerc first. He's the number one driver there. Red Bull has Max Verstappen and Sergio Perez. Where do McLaren with Lando Norris and Danny Ricciardo shake out? Like, who has the best driver lineup in Formula One? We'll find out. Probably Mercedes, but Ferrari's got a lot of pace. I'm excited to see if Ferrari can challenge Mercedes this year and kind of put themselves back near the top of Formula One after a couple of years that have been down for Ferrari. And then I look this year at the F1 schedule, and I'm very excited. One of my favorite things about Formula One is not just the racing, the storylines, all that. It's the international presence of the sport. I get to see stuff on TV, cities and places and cultures that I have a hard time seeing any other way unless I watch Anthony Bourdain or something. You got a race. They're going back to Australia this year. I guess it's not different culture for me, but you got 2 races in the USA this year. You got Miami on May 8th. You've got Austin, Texas on October 23rd. Brazil. By the way, I'll be in Austin, Texas in October, the weekend of that race. Maybe I'll try to get in. I don't think I can afford to even get in, but if there's a possible way I can scalp a ticket and I can afford it and get in, you bet your bippy I'm going to get in and try to watch an F1 race. I don't care where I sit. I don't care if I'm the back of the nosebleeds, whatever that looks like in Formula One. I don't care if I go to qualifying. If I can be on the premises while an F1 car drives by, I will be so happy. So I'm going to try to make that happen in Austin, Texas this year. I will see. I'm not confident, but worst case, I can go meet people and hang out outside the track. Is that weird? I feel like that's still somewhat normal. I think people do that. We're also going to Japan this year in October. Not me, but Formula One will be in Japan this year. That's kind of cool. Japan's been shut down, and my friend was visiting from Japan, had to go back early because they shut down the border again. So with the Rona ramping down, Japan might be opening up again. We're going to have an F1 race in Japan this year. It's very cool. And I just think it's going to be a really great year in Formula One. We do have Drive to Survive, the F1 series. It's out on Netflix now, season 4, I believe. I don't have any plans really to watch it yet. I will if I have time. I don't know that I can fit it in before the year starts. The first race next weekend, March 20th, is race number 1 in Bahrain. I also don't find as much enjoyment in Drive to Survive as I used to when I was first getting into Formula One, because now I know the formula. I know they kind of trump stuff up. If you're not a fan of Formula One, you don't know Formula One very well, watch Drive to Survive. You're going to learn a lot. It's going to introduce you to characters in F1, but once you get to know the sport, you kind of see through the intense dramatization of Formula One through Drive to Survive. But I will say it's a great way. It's solid entertainment, and it's a really good way to learn about the less prominent teams like Haas or like Williams. So I don't know. Drive to Survive is out there if you want to watch it. Nothing against it. I just don't. I'm busy as all get out. Free agency is happening. I don't think I can fit in 8 episodes, an hour each, of an F1 series that I'm not that into right now, and I don't feel like covering. One final thought, by the way, is that Lewis Hamilton is 37 years old. He lost the World Championship last year in a brutal, controversial way. Could we see Lewis Hamilton get his 8th world title this year, a world record? It's another interesting storyline. A lot of great stuff. It's going to be an incredible Formula One season, and I am very, very excited for what is to come this year in F1.